Hello my friends, my YouTube friends, in the Handyman zone today. Again, your one and only YouTube handyman, Dino Pinch. And what we're dealing with today is a burst pipe that happens to be for an outside hose, and this one happened to burst over the very cold winter we had, but it could be an inside pipe or whatever. It could be a fatter pipe, a skinnier pipe, or you know, just saying, but this happens to be what they call a 1/2 inch copper pipe, and although it's not burst right here, I'm just giving you an example of what we're dealing with here. So the basic plan is to cut out the damaged pieces and re-solder, re-sweat in some new pipe that will actually carry the water right along without spritzing all over the damn place like this one is. This one happens to be burst in 4 different spots. 2 of them are old soldered unions, and 2 are actually along the length of the pipe where it is burst. And I will show you all of that as the video goes on. So now the hook is in, let's proceed right to the meat of the matter and fix this up. There's a couple of items we're going to be using today, although it may not be a complete list. It'll just give you at least a start. This here is a heat protector to keep from burning up, either making black marks on the paint from the torch or actually melting the vinyl siding or anything else that you want to protect from the high heat the torch is going to generate. Some plumbing solder, some flux, plumbing flux, pipe cutter. This is 2 different kinds of pipe cutters. So a wire fitting cleaner, a wire brush. Now they come in different sizes for different pipes, and they have handles on them. A couple of these I've actually cut the handles off with either a hacksaw or a big wire nipper. And the reason I do that is I could mount them in my drill, which will speed things up, because the drill actually spins these to clean the insides of the fittings, so you don't have to sit there with the hand and get tired. Some plumbers grit to clean the clean fittings, clean pipes. This is great for the outside of pipes, where this kind of thing is great for the insides of the fittings. Of course, you're going to need like a torch, either propane or the MAP, which is a lot hotter and a little faster, but one or the other. And I'm using this piece of scrap sheetrock also as a heat protector, so either this or tin foil like tripled over, or any kind of sheet metal as a heat protector. I like to have a little spritzer handy in case I start any fires. That'll help put it out. And let's get going. This one, because I think we're gonna do first, because this was actually in here. If I can show you the correct way that it was. Okay, so this was actually in here, and because of the winter freeze, it actually popped itself out. Probably a bad soldering job to begin with. It was just hanging on for all of these years, but the winter freeze, because expanding water works it expands in every direction. So not only will it burst a pipe, it'll also pop fittings. The fittings are intact. We can actually just clean this up and clean up the inside of this, and that's a very important thing when you're soldering, is that all your joints are clean and dry before you start soldering. And some of this pipe actually still has water in it, so we're gonna have to double check it's dry. But we're gonna clean this up, and it's actually gonna, what they call, be tinned, T-I-N-N-E-D. It's gonna be like pre-tinned for us. So we can actually solder these 2 back together without too much of a hassle. 2 items that are gonna help us greatly in cleaning up our to-be soldered joints is this special mesh or sandpaper that is made for cleaning up pipes that are ready to be soldered, and also a little a pipe brush here that is called a fitting brush. This happens to be a 1/2 inch fitting brush because these are 1/2 inch pipes. So let's just start with the fitting brush. And what we're going to do is just get in here and for a couple of minutes, back and forth, and every angle we can get, we're going to clean up inside of here so it's as shiny and clean as possible. Then using some of this mesh, this special plumber's mesh that's made for cleaning up pipe fittings before soldering them, we're going to tear off a small piece of this and just work it every angle back and forth, and especially the backside that you can't see. We're going to get everything cleaned up here. So I've cleaned up this whole joint really good on the outside with the mesh cloth, on the inside with the wire brush that and when everything was cleaned up and I inspected it, I wiped it down with a clean cloth to get any grit from the mesh off or any stray strands from the wire fitting cleaner. Okay, and then a coating of Flux. Not too light, not too heavy, but a coating of Flux. Any extra is going to drip off, so you don't really have to worry about having too much Flux, but you don't want to waste it either. But Flux both your pipe, everywhere that it's going to fit inside the fitting, and a little bit extra. And inside the fitting, you want to make sure you got Flux everywhere. The Flux is really important. Placed them together, made sure that they're in all the way. I put my heat protective to protect the siding and the paint, and I have this here as a little spacer to pull it away so I have room to work. I'm going to start heating it up with the torch. I'm going to give like the whole idea here is to heat the thicker part first, which is this elbow, because a lot of the heat from the elbow is going to transfer into your regular pipe. So I'm going to give like a 4 count of heat, a 4 count of heat, a 4 count of heat in like basically the 4 directions. And then I'm going to come to the pipe and give like a 2 count, a 2 count, a 2 count, 2 count. And at that point it should be hot enough for the solder to flow. You notice I have the solder bent so I can reach behind and just kind of wipe it, and the solder will suck in. At that point, as soon as it's soldered and it's hot, you can wipe it down with a damp cloth, which will help seal the solder in. So I want to make sure the cloth is a little damp, so I'm just kind of spritzing it, and that'll finish up that solder joint. So let's get going on it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm on the elbow right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is MAP gas, which is a lot hotter than the propane. If it was a propane, I might be giving like a 6 or 7 count. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then around the back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're moving up to the pipe. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2. And then the top of the pipe, 1, 2. Now I'm going to go with my solder. It should just melt right in there. Yes, it is. But I need a little more heat. And I want it to suck in. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Now I'm going to take that damp cloth and just wipe it down. Wipe it down to give it that nice finished look, and then inspect if you think you need a little more. Go right ahead. Now note that there is a couple of little drips of water coming out of this, and water takes all the heat away when you're trying to solder, so you really have to have dry pipes. You can't have any water in there, or you're looking for trouble. So there's a spigot down the other end. I'm going to go open the spigot to help relieve the air pressure and let all the water out. I'm just trying to get some of the paint off of this. So I heat it up a little. And I wire brush it. Here's the old pipe. That's one burst. And the second burst is here. Doing 2 repairs. We cut off the old section. One burst here, one burst here. And we're gonna solder in the new one. I've marked the length. And we're gonna cut it. And using 2 unions, we're gonna solder it into place. Another thing I want to tell you before I get going here is when you heat up the pipes, the air inside is going to expand. So you need one end open. This end has a hose valve, so you can leave it open so the hot air can come out, or else it blows the solder out of the joint you're trying to solder. Very frustrating, but that's a tip I'm giving you. That's the flux. They always say to kind of twist your fittings a little bit, even after you put the flux, to kind of spread it out. Spread out the flux. Okay, so I got my solder ready. I'm going to start by heating up the center, which will, by natural effect, bring heat to the outside ones. But then I'll go to the outside ones, give a little heat, and that solder should suck right in. So. There we go. That one's looking pretty good. We didn't burn up the house. Let's go look and do the next one. Okay, so first shot out of the box. Okay, we got water in the pipe. This was the one joint. It's perfectly dry. The second, perfectly dry. The third, perfectly dry. And then the corner one over there. And then the corner one over there, again, perfectly dry. So there you have it, my YouTube friends. The basics of fixing a burst pipe, basics of sweating or soldering a copper pipe. Most important thing I want to stress to you guys is that the joints that you're going to solder have to be clean, clean, clean. The inside and the outside. You got to use the flux. And as far as heat's concerned, if you don't have enough heat, you'll know it because your solder won't melt. If you have too much heat, you'll know it because your solder is going to ball up. The right amount of heat and the joint's just going to suck the solder in, and you're going to be on your way to having a great repair. So look, thumbs up the video if you like it, because it really, all of this stuff I'm going to tell you now really helps me with the YouTube gig. Because you know I am a full partner. Sub to my channel really helps. Thumb it up. Any questions or comments, use the box below. That's what it's there for. If I don't actually get to answer it myself, because I'm getting 60, 70, 80 inboxes a day, and I just can't keep up with it, one of the other users will surely help you. And share the video on the social media, because, you know, it really helps the Handyman too. So again, it's Dino Pinch from the Handyman Zone, signing off.